Alright, so first of all, I want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakudash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to our brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to the sincere Akwath, and shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. Now, this lesson is going to be based on this article in regards to a 17-year-old who was charged with arson after Great Northern Mall fire in Clay. So through the Spirit, I'm going to read this article, get some precepts, and Lord's will, you're edified. This is a 17-year-old boy is accused of intentionally setting fire to the defunct Great Northern Mall in the town of Clay last month. Tom Newton, a Onondaga County Sheriff's Office spokesperson, confirmed to News Channel 9 local SYR that authorities arrested a Baldwinsville teen on July 2nd. He faces charges of third-degree arson, a Class C felony, third-degree burglary, a Class D felony, fourth-degree criminal mischief, a misdemeanor. Newton says investigators concluded the boy allegedly broke into the mall late on June 30th and intentionally set pieces of paper on fire by the old Regal Cinema. There are no additional suspects, Newton said. Jason Perkins, a battalion chief with the Moyers Corners Fire Department, previously said there was a fire through the roof and some fire inside in the movie theater. Crews had the blaze under control in 20 minutes. Multiple other fire departments were also at the scene. The mall was closed in 2022. Guy Hart, the mall's owner, told News Channel 9. Local SYR on June 30th that demolition on the site set to begin this week despite the blaze. And even though, it wasn't a major fire and nobody got hurt, this is just a sign of the times. People running around here committing arson, setting churches on fire, setting homes on fire, setting malls on fire, setting cars on fire, setting people on fire. This is the type of spirit that is out here in these last days. Proverbs 20 and 24, man's goings are of the Lord Yahweh. How can a man then understand his own way? And that's right, because the simple-minded people will say that, you're just a kid being reckless. But what they don't understand is that the Lord put the Spirit on him to do that, to break into that mall and to set that fire. The scriptures tell us that when you're asleep, the Lord seals your instructions for what you're going to do the next day. That's why, if you've ever, and I'm sure everybody has experienced this, but you are like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, or I'm going to go here and go there. And then the next day, you wake up and you don't do any of the things you thought you were going to do, because that's not what the Lord wanted you to do. That was not what the Lord had planned for you. So man's goings are of the Lord. So that kid didn't do, that 17-year-old, he didn't do that because that's what he wanted to do. He did that because that's what the Lord wanted him to do. The Lord put the Spirit on him to do that. And we've been seeing that a lot, people setting fires. Same goes with road rage incidents, stabbings, shootings. All of these violent acts. The Lord is the one who put the Spirit on those people to commit those acts. Isaiah 29:6, thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. And, there are a lot of brush fires and even wildfires that happen not because of global warming or because of heat waves, but because of man-made activities. Somebody lighting a cigarette and then tossing it into some dry grass. We all know how that's going to end. Or somebody intentionally setting a fire somewhere. There have been plenty of cases where these brush fires and these wildfires, these destructive and deadly brush and wildfires, happen because somebody set them on purpose. 2 Timothy 3:1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And when you look up the definition of perilous, it means full of danger or risk. And we are in dangerous times because you do have people out here committing arson. More and more. It seemed like a relatively rare thing a couple of years ago, but it's been becoming a lot more frequent, especially amongst younger people. And we've seen how destructive and how deadly and how big and intense and out of control these fires can get. Especially if other factors are in the favor of the fire intensifying, such as, dry material for the fire to use as fuel, or, strong winds to push the fire in different directions, causing it to spread. And in these last days, as I've said before, and, many brothers have said it as well, we should not be surprised watching the increase of these events take place. People committing arson. But we always have to keep in mind that when it comes to road rage incidents and arson and stabbings and shootings and kidnappings and things of that nature, the Lord is the one putting the spirit on these people to commit these acts. They don't just wake up one day and they're like, well, that's what I want to do today. No, they're doing it because that's what the Lord wants them to do. And however it plays out, whether that person ends up getting arrested or somebody ends up getting hurt or killed as a result of those actions, that is ultimately the judgment of the Lord. It all goes back to the Lord. And that's what people refuse to acknowledge. People are trying to basically remove the Lord from the equation. A lot of people don't think that the Lord actually exists. They don't believe the Heavenly Father actually exists. They don't believe Yahweh Shai once walked the earth. A lot of people are so carnal and so far removed from reality. So, whenever something happens, that involves a person doing something, these simple-minded, carnal people, they automatically just say, oh, well, that person did that because, they're a bad person or whatever. But they don't acknowledge the fact that that person would not have done whatever they did if the Lord had not put the Spirit on them to do that. Even me, me doing this lesson right now, because the Lord put the Spirit on me to. Same with all the brothers who do lessons. The Lord puts the Spirit on you to do that. You don't just decide that on your own. All of this free will nonsense. That's some Esau stuff. That's some Esau nonsense. There is no such thing as free will. The Lord controls everything you do, everything you say, everything you think. And this is why we need the kingdom, or one of the many reasons why we need the kingdom, because we need the truth to be 100% established on the earth. We need the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, to get their full credit. We don't need any more of this people, being divided on whether or not the Lord exists and all of that. Like, we need all of this confusion to be erased, and for the truth to just be 100% set in stone and undeniable to everybody on earth. And we're getting into that time. Well, with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, the Wadi Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, for putting the Spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honor to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to the sincere Akwath. Shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. Hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up. Adawan Ratazah. Till next time, Shalom.